Good morning, guys. In the previous class, we have discussed Ajax functions, that is called action function, and second one action status, and third action polar, and then fourth one we have seen that action support. Okay, so these are the questions. These are the Ajax functions, and you should know about these all Ajax functions, how it works and everything, because these Ajax functions will be asked in the interviews. Okay, there are no other options. They will ask. Okay, in the Visual Force page, the questions will be on. One is on view state. Second one is Ajax functions. Third one, render, re-render, other things. Render. Sorry, I think I didn't share my screen. So here rendered, re-render, yeah, and rendered as. So these questions will be there. Then difference between the page block table and data table. We have one more concept called action region. This is also one of the tag which is included in the Ajax functions. Okay, then they will ask controllers. Okay, so standard controllers, custom controllers, extension controllers, then standard list controllers, standard set controllers. Okay, these controllers will be asked in the interviews. Other than that, you might not get all the concepts, but the one thing is you can get remote action example. Okay, JavaScript remote action. Okay, remote action example. This will ask. Okay, you just need to know that what is a remote action. Remote action means we know that in Visual Force page we can write the JavaScript, right? Like this we can write the JavaScript. From the JavaScript itself, we can call the controller method. Means we can call Apex method. That is used JavaScript remoting. That is called remote action. So you have to declare the method as remote action. Then you have to call like this: Visual Force remoting manager invoke action. So remote action, and what is the class name? Then we have to say that what is the method name. Okay, once it is done, we have to pass the parameters. So here they are passing string as the account name. So they will pass the parameter, and result will be in this one. You don't need to worry. You can say that we didn't use that, but you just need to know that what is the remote action. In the lot of cases, we won't use this remote action. Okay, we won't use this remote action, but you need to know that what is this remote action. Remote action means when you call the Apex method from the JavaScript that returns some results, right? You have to handle that returning statement. Let's say that here it is account is returning. Okay, that account here in the result it comes account, right? Here This is the result. When this result come out after the execution of this remote action, we'll get this. Okay, so as of now we are not going to use this remote action anymore. Okay, just use that how to use this remote action. You have to declare that method as remote action, and it should be global or public, and it should be static. Okay, that is the restriction on this, nothing other than that. Okay, other than that, what we'll ask in the Visualforce page is regarding the view state. Okay, so let's say we know that when we say some request is there, here we know that view state will come, right? We have already discussed in the first class itself, the size should not be more than 135 KB, right? What happens if 135 KB is exceeded? So it throws the error message. How to handle that error message? Okay, for that, in the action, in the controller, you have to declare the variables like as transient. Okay, how to avoid the view state? This is the important one. They will ask the questions to you. Using transient variables. Okay, second one, using static variables. And third one, avoiding the let's say that limit the variables. Okay, so these things we have to do. Okay, and then use read only. Wherever it is applicable, and use pagination if you want to display more records. Okay, these are the things we have to handle. So what is using transient variables? What happens if you declare that as a transient variable? Okay, if you think that when you declare this variable as this transient variable, let's say here I'm using test, click. Okay, what happens? Test is already there, but here this result is displayed. If you make this string as transient, okay, I'm using test. Once it is done, in the apex it becomes null. It means it became the what do I say that default value. It goes to the default value. Okay, as we have not here, we didn't use that. We didn't refresh that, right? That's why it's not going. So what is that? Let's go to this only. This is action function example, right? Account name I'm giving. What we are returning here, re-rendering such string, searching itself. Okay, so usually when the form is submitted, it becomes null. Okay, it becomes default value. Okay, so here form is not submitted, right? So we didn't use the command button or something else. If you use the command button, then it becomes the default value. You don't need to worry about that. Okay, and then that's one transient one. And using static variables. If you declare a variable static, okay, then the same value will be shared with the Visualforce page. And the transient variables and static variables doesn't count in the view state. Okay, it won't be considered in the view state. So you can use static variables and transient variables wherever it is applicable to reduce the view state. Okay, and then limit the variables. So if you declare the more variables, then view state will be increased, right? That's why limit the variables. If the variable is necessary and it's mandatory, then only you can use that. Otherwise, you can just ignore that. Don't use more variables on that. And use read-only variables, read-only annotation on the this one. So here we know that we are just displaying the variables, right? Displaying the records here. So what we can do is we can make it at the rate of read-only. Okay. So this one only remote action it's allowed or web service because if you use like this, you can't edit the records here. These records cannot be edited in the Visualforce page. If you want to use the read only, that should be remote action or web service or schedule. Okay, schedule apex inside the schedule apex execute method. Okay, so you can use that if you are using remote action, you can use at the rate of read only. Okay, so that is one thing. So using that read only annotation as well, you can uh, you can avoid the view state error. Then pagination. If you have 1000 records, better to use the pagination. And all 1000 records cannot be displayed in the single page, right? So that you can use the pagination and display in the different pages. That is view state. Or whether it is a Apex, whatever it is. They will ask for the best practices. Okay? Best practices for improving the Visualforce performance. Okay, view state size, it should not be 35 kb. On 35 kb it should not more than that. Okay, by reducing the view state size, your page can load quicker and stall less often. Okay, so what to do on that? Using transient variables. Okay, then SOQL. So if you are writing SOQL, better to write more filters. It means where condition. If you use the where condition, number of records will be returned will be less. Okay, so that is one thing. Avoid SOQL queries in your Apex controller getter methods. Okay, so these are the things you have to know that. So these questions will be asked inside the in the interviews, and we have static resource. Okay, what is a static resource? This is static resource is nothing but one of the component or file where we can use that, in the different places in the Apex or in the Visualforce page. So here static resource is nothing but a file. Okay, we can select any file, then can put that. Okay, now here this is available. You can use this static resource using this one, URL for resource and resource name. Okay, you try this. Okay, We just try that to display in the Visual Force page, you can use it. So why we use the static resource? Let's say if you want to display some logos or some images, okay, then you can use that static resources. Okay, first store them the static resources in the Salesforce, then you can use them in the Visual Force page. Okay, that's it on the Visual Force page. Let's see, so we can just see the one Visual Force component as well, where we can reuse this. Okay, it is a reusable Visual Force page. It is a reusable VF page. Okay, we'll see that how to create that. You can create this Visual Force component. Let's say that my component. Here, if you want, you can use the controllers as well. Okay, and whatever you want to use that. Just a minute, this component attribute is not coming here. What is that? X column attribute name equals to some name, type equals to string, then description, name of the candidate. Okay, so you can declare the attributes. Here the attribute may be the primitive data types or collections, maybe list or set, whatever it is. Okay, so you can use the list and you can display the list of values as well, like this. You can pause the one thing, then you can have that, doesn't matter it is. So this one, when you want to use this component, you can use like this. See, colon my comp, then attribute, or let's say what you have to use is name equals to then Salesforce testing. Okay, whatever the attribute you have given here, you can declare any number of attributes, any type of data type. Okay, and if you try that, given name is Salesforce trying, you can use that and you can use anything here. Okay, here let's say results, then inside that let me put here if you want to pass some string type, list type, attribute name equals to accounts, type equals to account, description equals to list of accounts. Okay, we have this list of accounts. Now we can iterate at that and then we'll place them. Apex page block. You can use anything here. List of accounts from component. Apex column. Page block table. Okay. Here we need that values equals to. So where the values will be in accounts. Where ACC, and here apex column value equals to ACC dot name. And you can make here whether it is required or something. If you want to make it required, you should use this required equals to true. Okay, when you make it true, then it's mandatory to display these values. If you display like this, I mean if you use this component, okay, okay, name equals to something, Salesforce testing. Okay, here see that missing required attribute accounts. If you make it required, then you should pass the values accounts equals to, you can pass we know that this will be in this accounts, right? You can use the comment section like this. Page block section is that. Okay. I'm using these inside the here. When I use these, I can use test. Now click on this. Okay, list of accounts from the component, all are came. Okay, so this is called component. And then why do we need component? We have already achieved the same requirement using the Visualforce page. Then why do we need the component? Okay, so if you write the same code in the Visualforce page, then it will be used only here only. It cannot be used anywhere else. But if you write that a component, this component can be used anywhere. It means if you want to use this component in any other pages, you can write the Visualforce component. Okay, here you can use the controllers as well. Okay, if you want to see that Apex component, okay, so this component tag, what is having access, allow DML, controller. We can use the controllers as well. Extension controllers we can use, language, layout, rendered, re-rendered, everything will be there. You can have the tags on this. This is Visualforce component. Okay, any questions on this? So this is the example. We have to see that. Close our tabs. Let me create one Apex class. Create multiple accounts. Okay, here what I'm trying to do is list of public list of account. So these are the examples you need to practice. Accounts get and set. Okay, so this is one thing. Next, I have to use this as a constructor. I should declare this as a public, we know that. And here I'm using equals to new list of account. Okay, so we know that in some cases, in some of the pages, you might have you might have added, or you need to remove any columns or rows dynamically. You can do that, right? Dynamically adding and removing the columns, or let's say records. Okay, so that is here we are going to implement that. Okay, now here what I'm trying to do is for adding. So initially I'm displaying one thing, accounts dot add of new account. Okay, so I'm going to write the Visual Force page for the same. This is a Visual Force page. I'm using controller. Okay, once on that, okay, here what I'm trying to do is apex colon form page block. Create multiple accounts. Okay, we know that we can have the apex colon data table. I'm using page block table. We can have only editing, I mean we can have only read only. Okay, well you can use that as well, you're not required to worry. Apex colon page block table. Here we have to use items or values. Value equals to accounts var equals to ACC. Okay, then here what I'm trying to is apex colon input field. Okay, what we have to input field, then value equals to ACC dot name. This. Okay, so just try to add this. So in the Visual Force page, I'm not sure whether we can add that. Create multiple accounts page like that. That will be no problem. Page. that is okay. We can, it will be having page block section. Just a minute. Where goes to- Okay, let's use the data table only instead of the page block table. Okay, we know that how to do that. Countless. Data table or page block table, to do this we have to use this data list. Okay, now let's write this using this. Let's form the table in this one. Okay, what I'm trying to do is table, I'm querying in this one tr of th of first name, then I'm using one more active, then one more is type, then industry. Okay, so once this is done, what I'm trying to do is I'm using this table, okay, to display the values. First one is name, this is active. Okay, second one is, first you have to do this tr here. Okay, then this is one td. Okay, now we have to copy this. Name active and then type industry. Active _ c, type, then industry. Okay, name active, type industry. Okay, So this is come like that. Then we will see that why the dots will come like this, because it is a data list, so it comes like that. Okay. Later on that we'll see. Otherwise, what we can do is apex colon, we have repeat. Okay, we can use repeat instead of that. Here also value, you should understand that so for which one we are going to use for which variable equals to SEC. So here I am going to use, instead of data list, I'm going to use this repeat. Now you can see that. Okay, so no dots and other things. Okay, is so here you can select whatever you want and you can have this one. So here I need add button and remove button. When I add this function, I means when I click on add, okay, it should display one more column. Okay, so it should display one more column. Now here I am removing this. I'm not using this one, so it should be empty first time. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is, we know that for adding we have public void. I'm writing add method. Okay, when I click on add, I have to add one more thing, sorry, one more value here. Okay, so when I need to remove one thing, public void remove. Okay, I have to remove one thing. Index is required, right? Let's say I'm using here public integer index get and set. Okay, so by default index will be 0. Right, here I'm using this one. Okay, so this is one thing. Now I have to call this, right? So once this is done, I'm adding one more column with this add or remove, add or remove. Okay, here after that one TD is required. Inside this I need button, command button with action equals to add. Here value equals to add, and the same way I need one more button to remove. Okay, when I click and add, it should display one more. So first you should enter the at least one value, test, add. It's going to add one more row. Now if I click on remove, it should remove that, right? Test, remove. Okay, and when I add this one, two, sorry, test one, you can observe that. Then test 2. So when I remove this test 1, what should be removed? Only test 1 should be removed. Okay, but the test is removed. It means first record is deleted. It should not happen like that. So for that, what we have to do is, so we have one thing called index. Okay, here apex param, we have one param called as assign to index, then name equals to index, then value equals to here it should be some accounts of size something, it should be I forgot that syntax for that. Just a minute. Index, instead of directly writing the accounts, we'll go for one wrapper class. This is also one important thing, wrapper class in Salesforce. Okay, wrapper class is nothing but a class with different data types. So we can treat that everything is a wrapper class. Okay, but wrapper class means a class within the class where we can use this. It's not required to declare in the same class, but you can declare it publicly as well. I'm using wrapper. Okay, here public integer. Okay, then public account A. Here what I'm trying to do is I'm using public constructor index, then account A. Here this dot index equals to index, this dot A equals to A. Let's see what are the errors we have. Unexpected token at line number 20. Okay, so this is the thing we have to use. Let's see, what can I use? I can't use this. Can use here. What we are trying to do is instead of the account, we are using this one. Here 0 and new account I am using. Here okay, I'm using wrapper class for handling the size, I mean index. Okay, then I'm using this one. So here what I'm trying to is this, what I have to do, accounts only, but acc dot, okay, inside this we have, okay, we declared acc, inside that what we have a, okay, acc dot a, then acc dot a and dot a. Okay, here value is acc dot index. Oh, acc wrapper dot a we have. Means we should declare that setters and getters. Okay, so in the class itself, for each and everything we have to declare setters and getters, then only it will be allowed. Okay, test I'm using add, then test 1 adding, then test 2. Okay, now I'm going to delete test 1. Okay, again the same. What is the index value we have? 0. Index is 0. Value equals to acc dot index. We have pex param assigned to index value equals to acc dot index. Okay, let me use this. Display that here itself. This is 0. Let's use add. Okay, it's coming 2. Add 3. Test 4. Okay, test. If we remove 3, it's removing. Okay, but here it should be 0 and then 1. 0. Then, okay, size only. Remove this. Okay, it will be 1, right? So first it will be 0, then size will be plus 1, right? So here it will be. Now let's see. Test add. Now it should be 1. Test 1 and test 3. Test 4. Now remove the test 3. Again test is only gone. Test 4. Okay, so it is removing from. Okay, here Index is not taking that like this. Okay, what is this? Hmm? Minus here. Adding functionality will do that. Okay. Finally, we have to save the records. Okay. Once this is done, we are using apex. Okay. First, we need to write the method first. Okay. Let's remove. Let's do later. Public void save. Okay. Save accounts. Multiple accounts at a time we are saving. Then we just need to do that. Insert. Then okay, this we need to separate them first. List of accounts ACCS equals to new list of account for accounts wrapper, right? ACC wrapper. Okay, we separated the accounts again and added into the list, then we are inserting that. Okay, so once it is inserted, I want to return my Visualforce page to one thing, page reference, just now returning null. Okay, what I have to do is I have to go to accounts page. This to here I want to return. So what I can do is new page reference of slash this. Okay, it goes to the same page. Let's say if there are any exceptions, I want to throw the error message. What to do? Try catch exception. I have to add the message apex pages dot add message new apex pages dot message apex pages dot severity dot error, then you have to show that records or let's say accounts are not saved. Okay, and then I have to add messages here. Okay, now let me create some records. VF account 1 activist checkbox is checked, and then I'm using this add, then VF account 2 okay, again we have to write the button right instead of, otherwise how can we save it? Apex colon command button. Okay, action equals to save accounts, value equals to save records. Whatever the name you want, you can give it. Okay, here this is add to okay, save records. Records are saved and moved to here. Okay, this is dynamically adding the records. Removing, we'll see, that is just having the index problem. Okay, we are not able to assign the value to that, so I will check that and let you know that. Okay.